Hey, I'm back. Awesome. Quick thing. I don't know if you can tell because the lighting in my room kind of sucks, but I am wearing highlighter. So if you see that, I'm wearing highlighter, and also that's my first time ever putting on highlighter. I know, crazy, right? But I got it in an Ipsy bag, so I'm like, might as well try out highlighter. So if it's in the wrong place or you see it shining weird, I tried. Okay. And also, I did my eyeshadow in a 60s style because I thought it'd be fun. I got some new palettes recently, so I thought I'd try it out. And it kind of goes into the theme of today's video, kind of not really, I don't know. But today's video is all about the Beatles movies. Now, when people say, oh, the Beatles have movies, I didn't know they could act. It's like, no, they can't. I said it in another video. The Beatles cannot act. And that's not, I'm not being mean in saying that. They are such talented musicians that they don't need that. Do you know what I mean? There was no need for them to be in these movies. But it was kind of a, at the time they were making them, at least the first one, Hard Day's Night came out in 1963 or 1964, which is like the height of Beatlemania, so they could literally do no wrong at that point, and everything they would do was gonna sell. So they did it. So for this video, I'm only gonna be talking about the ones that have a plot. So Hard Day's Night, Help, Yellow Submarine, and Magical Mystery Tour. I'm being generous with Magical Mystery Tour having a plot, okay? I just am. And I know that Beatles did other movies where it was just, I know Ringo did a few, Paul did some, John was in that war drama called How I Won the War, I think. I've heard people talk about it. People say it's a good movie. I've never seen it. Maybe that's next on my list, I don't know. So they've done other things, but this is just the ones that all four of them have been in or were involved in. And also I know Let It Be is technically a Beatles movie, but it's documentary, so I'm not counting it. Yeah, so I'll start with the first one. It's called A Hard Day's Night. Now, again, I mentioned in another video that A Hard Day's Night is what inspired the TV show The Monkees. And if you watch Hard Day's Night, then you watch The Monkees, you can kind of see that there's a lot of parallels and things like that. Hard Day's Night is basically where they're playing themselves as a band that's crazy, popular, The opening sequence of them running from fangirls and hiding in various places in the train station and getting on the train has been parodied in a lot of things. And I remember seeing it for the first time and I was like, hey, I know this. I've seen this before. So that's where it's from. So you've probably seen the opening sequence and seen references to it, even if you don't realize it. And it's basically them getting on this train and going to a gig, and they are traveling with Paul's grandfather. So very clean old man. That's a joke in the movie. And Paul's grandfather kind of he does that thing that old people do. Maybe this is just me and old people I've hung around. They'll try to instigate things, So they'll say something kind of off color or maybe passive aggressive to you about someone else, and it makes you think it's oh, maybe they are treating me badly or something, and there's fights ensue. And that happens in the movie. A big part of it is he does this to Ringo, and Ringo feels like he's left out and kind of useless, and the movie revolves around them trying to get him back. I'm like, no, you're not useless. And oh, I know Paul's grandfather purposefully caused trouble, but he's just a lonely old man and he just wants attention too. And I get that sentiment, but at the same time, he knew full well what he was doing wrong. So I don't see yeah, he can be forgiven and things like that, but I'm still he purposefully did this because he was bored. Am I the only one that finds that a little weird? What else? Okay. So the movie itself, it's not badly made. Again, you have to take into account, I'm putting my hair up because I'm realizing how hot it is. Yeah, I'm wearing a flannel. it'd be like that. The movie itself is not badly made. You have to take into account, like, technical limitations it would have had at the time and things like that. Like, it's not a bad movie. However, like I said earlier, the Beatles cannot act. At all. But you can tell that they're, like, trying to take this seriously. But you can just tell, like, they're trying. I guess that's all you can do. They are trying, and they're taking it seriously. But a lot of the movie, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's very awkward. And by that, I mean there's a lot that could have been cut. Like, cut that out. That doesn't do, like, anything. It drags the movie on when you don't need it to. Like, there's, like, a few times where they're, like, in the train car. And there's just a little bit too long of time between one person's line and the next person's line. And it's so awkward. And I'm not saying silence is inherently awkward. Like, I've got a friend who he's not American, he lives in another country. And he asked me, he's like, why is silence so awkward to Americans? It's normal because over there, where he lives, I'm not going to say which country because I don't have permission to mention him in this video. He says, we don't really talk to strangers on public transport like we do in America, or in public unless, like, it's an emergency. And I said, yeah, there's people who just talk here and can perceive silence as awkward. And I don't think it's inherently awkward. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to talk to a stranger unless it's an emergency. But if someone talks to me, like, I'll be nice and talk back, humor them, However, in this movie, when we're supposed to be bringing a story along, and it's just slightly too long. Like, if you watch the movie, like, I think you'll know what I mean. Like, someone will say something, and then there's just, like, a pause there. It's just slightly too long. Slightly. And I feel awkward watching it. Even though, like, I know it's scripted and it's not a big deal, I feel awkward watching it. Do you know what I mean? And Hard Day's Night ends with them getting to their gig, getting to go back, obviously, and they perform, they end the movie with She Loves You, which is one of my favorite Beatles songs, and also, like, I've been listening to it in German, because I'm doing German on Duolingo, because I'm bored, and I've been listening to the German version of She Loves You, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, and it almost sounds weird hearing it in English now, because I've been listening to it so much, so I'm like, I keep adding the CH or CK sound to the end of that, like they did in the studio tapes, which causes them to giggle because they're freaking 12-year-olds. Anyway, on to the next movie. Now, the next movie, it did not get as critically acclaimed. Like, Hard Day's Night, when you read reviews on it, they don't mention the Beatles acting at all. They mention a lot of the nostalgia around it. They mention, like, going to the premiere and seeing these girls cry over George Harrison. So they mention the nostalgia around it, which I don't think is bad. It's like, that's why the title of this video is probably going to be The Beatles Movies Kind of Sucks, but it's okay. A movie does not have to be good to be good. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can, like, good movies are so relative, okay? So if a movie, like, has good memories for you, then it's a good movie for you, and that's fine. But then also other people don't have to enjoy it. Just putting that out there as well. Like, okay, I love garbage movies. I really do. I watched, the Daydream Believers, The Monkey Story. It is such a bad movie in terms of accuracy, casting, just general technical issues. It looks bad, but I watched it with friends and I enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, the movie wasn't good, but the memories I have surrounding it, it's happy. So it's not something that I'm, like, I don't hate it. Do you know what I mean? Movie doesn't have to be good to be good. That's all I'm saying. So Help comes around. Help was financially more successful in box office. It made like $12 million, which not very good in today's money, but it was decent for then. It was much better received by the people. it did not get as many good reviews, which I'm kind of like, what? This movie was so much more interesting. I'm just gonna say it. This one, now the original plot, which was much more interesting, I kind of wish they had kept it, but they didn't. The original plot was it was gonna be one, like, psychotic murderer who was after Ringo. And they had to, like, try and prevent that, obviously. And they scrapped that. I don't know why, if there's a particular reason, but it was scrapped. And it's instead a cult that does human sacrifice. Wants to sacrifice the man with this particular ring on his hand. And it happened to be Ringo, because he's got all the rings, you know. Ringo rings, you know. Kind of problematic in the portrayal of Asian people, and, like, I know it was a different time, but I'm just telling you that, so like, be warned, okay? They do refer to Asian people as Oriental, which is something that the older generation does, like, my grandmother still does that, so that's not, like, a crazy thing, like, that is something that happened. Pretty sure it's offensive, I wouldn't know. But it's kind of problematic in that vein, so I'm just warning you. However, it is immensely more entertaining, okay? Because they're going through all these, like, places to try to avoid all these people, okay? There's, like, a ski trip romp, like the monkey romp we talked about earlier. There's, going to the Bahamas. There's, like, hiding in the police station. Okay, so they need protection from these people who are after them. They're after all of them, because they're with Ringo, you know. And so they're out in this field filming, and the police are like, okay, we can give you protection. So what they do, like, the camera starts, it's on, then you see them, like, performing it, like, music videos, like, oh, okay, it pans back, and there's a tank, okay, and the tank, like, starts moving. I don't know why, but that just tickled me. I found it very funny. Okay, I don't know how much I can say about this, only because I don't know what YouTube's, like, demonetized words are or something like that. But I'm just going to say that during this era, and Paul McCartney has admitted this, I'll try to find, like, a link to an article or interview about it down below, that during the filming of Help in particular is when they first started experimenting with the stuff that you can smoke that is legal now in some states. Colorado in particular, I think you know what I mean, yeah. Which I find weird terminology, like experimenting with. Either you did it or you didn't. I feel like that's not a black and white situation. I feel like that's not a shades of gray situation. That's a black and white situation. Either you did or you didn't. Okay. But anyway, so you can kind of tell. Like, when you watch the movie, they seem a lot more relaxed, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like the acting was a little bit better, especially, like, Ringo and George. I feel like the acting was immensely better. Maybe it's because they were more relaxed. I don't know. But the Beatles did not have a very good experience making this movie. They said that they, and I'm quoting here, felt like extras in their own movie, which sucks, you know, because they weren't satisfied with it. I get it, you know, things happen, but at the same time, I personally, if you ask me, hey, do you want to watch A Hard Day's Night or Help tonight? I will say Help. Plus the music is better. Like, throughout these movies, every time Ringo is in a precarious situation, about to be killed, or having an emotional moment, okay, it's like they stop everything, and they're like, okay, play, but you got to hide your love away. Like, there's no, like, smooth transition into the music. I feel like that's one thing the Monkey Show did really well, is they were able to, most of the time, smoothly transition to the monkey romp, you know? Whether it be running from something or their fantasy sequence. They were able to do that pretty well. The Beatles weren't. I'm just saying. Okay, now the next one. My favorite. Okay, this is, like, one of my favorite movies. I've talked about movies on this channel before, but, you know, things change. Yellow Submarine. I'm always down for non-Disney animation. I love Disney. I'm a Disney geek. I like Star Wars, I like Marvel. Like, I'm basic in that regard, okay? But also, I really like non-Disney animation, okay? Spirit that movie about the horses, the stallion, Prince of Egypt, even Shrek. I'm not saying Shrek's a bad movie, but like it's been memed, okay? What's the other one? Joseph, King of Dreams. So non-Disney animation, I'm down for it. Okay, so Yellow Submarine. It's beautifully animated, considering, and like there's a little bit of tea about like, Yellow Submarine, so maybe that'll be another movie about like non-Disney animation. But anyway, it's basically a jukebox musical. Now, for those of you not musical people who don't know what that means, a jukebox musical is a musical, but it's not original songs written by someone. It is another artist's songs that are used. So examples would be Rocket Man's a jukebox musical, Mamma Mia is a jukebox musical, Rock of Ages is a jukebox musical. They're using other people's music instead of someone writing their own, basically. And the story is there's this beautiful, lush paradise called Pepperland that has been taken over by the blue meanies, and the only person who could save them is the captain, whose name I don't remember. Did I mention his name? I don't remember. In this yellow submarine who goes to our world, to England, to find the Beatles, be like, hey, the blue meanies have taken over my land, can you help us? And the blue meanies like hate music. That's like their kryptonite, you know. So they're like, sure. So they travel back to Pepperland in the yellow submarine, and they play the music, and they save this land, which is pretty cool. It's kind of simple, but it's kind of cute ending because like the villains are redeemed and everyone just strolls off to the sunset singing It's All Too Much. They use they use songs from different eras, so they've got Nowhere Man's on the soundtrack, Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine, obviously the movie's called that. When I'm 64 is all in the soundtrack, and then it works together pretty well. Even the original characters like the captain and Jeremy, who is the Nowhere Man that they sing about in that like number, which, okay, just off range about Yellow Submarine real quickly here. So they meet Jeremy, and Jeremy's home, he doesn't have a home. He lives in this void, okay? And he like types up books, and he does a bunch of things to like entertain himself, because it's like, my phone. Where's his home? Did the blue meanies take it? Like, I don't know. Okay, so they're like, oh, you know what he is, lads, because he doesn't have his thing. He's a Nowhere Man. It's like, is that like a little rude? Okay, like he doesn't have like a home. Okay, and Jeremy then helps them like find Pepperland, things like that, because they get lost in the void and there's all these holes. I've got a hole in my pocket. That's a joke in the movie. And he like pulls out a hole out of his pants. Also, it's my favorite, and I feel kind of bad that it's my favorite out of all of them. Like, as much as I like Help and I do enjoy it, I think Yellow Submarine is so much better. I feel that kind of bad. The Beatles didn't voice themselves. They're voiced by other voice actors because the Beatles were too expensive, so they're like, hey, we don't have to pay these guys as much. They're gonna do the voices, and I feel like everyone is pretty well cast except for John. John just sounded so bad, and no tea, no shade to that guy who voiced him. I don't remember his name right this second, because, you know, they all kind of got screwed over. They didn't get like credited properly. They weren't paid right, you know. So I do feel bad. And all the blue meanies have these things on their head that kinda look like Mickey Mouse ears. And I just find that funny because like the studio was mad at Disney for something. That's a whole like thing. That's a whole nother video. Okay. All right. So the last one. I honestly, let me pull up the IMDb page for this one because I don't know how to explain this movie to you. Well, let's just Google it. So the last one is called Magical Mystery Tour, which is the name of a Beatles album. It has like Strawberry Fields Forever, All You Need Is Love, I Am the Walrus. Those songs are on that album. It's also a movie, and it's literally called the plot is the Fab Four's alternative and surreal 1967 classic film. Okay, blending sketches, ideas, and visual concepts with much-loved tunes such as I Am the Walrus and Fool on the Hill. And fun fact, the Beatles are actually credited as directors, which is pretty cool, you know. Get that, because we heard from Head how the Monkees weren't credited as writers, even though they kind of deserve to be. So, you know, good on them getting that credit, you know, where it's due. However, I don't think I could, like, actually explain this movie to you because, like it said, it's very much like just a blending of them doing different sketches and in different places. It's, I feel like it's like, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if it was inspired, if Head was inspired by this, but I feel like it's what they were trying to do. Something surreal and, you know, far out, groovy kind of thing. Is far out 60s or 70s? I don't know. So I feel like that's what they were trying to do. Which is, you know, fine. However, I just have a very vivid memory of John Lennon, and by the way, the makeup, okay, I know it was different time, different products, the cameras probably weren't as flattering, like myself on this camera. My foundation, like, I look great, at least in my foundation, okay. Back then, the stuff they've been on, John Lennon, he's in this very pale makeup, like, he looks like a ghost, and, like, I know, probably didn't tan very well, I know, but, like, you can tell they put something on him to make him more pale, and he's, do you remember that gif of, like, in, like, 2016, of Hillary Clinton kind of going, like, that's what he's doing, okay, but he's saying, oh, I spent half an hour looking for the sugar. I can't do a Liverpool accent, I'm not even gonna try, and it just, it weirded me out. I was like, is that a drugs reference? Like, I literally don't know. Because they're kind of, so they could be referencing drugs. Or they could not be. I don't know. I know Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds isn't about drugs. It's about Julian Lennon and his crush on some chick, okay? I know that one's not about drugs. And I feel like, again, the only way for you to, like, understand Magical Mystery Tour is to see it for yourself. Because it is such a, I don't know if I'd call it a movie other than just, like, an extended short film, which is basically what a movie is anyway, but, you know, it's weird. So, out of all of these, I would rank Yellow Submarine, Help, Hard Day's Night, Magical Mystery Tour. And you may disagree, and that's fine. Like, whatever, like, Hard Day's Night is beloved cinema. Okay, so, like, I was reading reviews about it, and people were telling me, like, Hard Day's Night is so good, blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, this must be, like, an actually fantastic movie. These guys must have really hit it out of the park. I'm gonna take my hair down now, because my hair was up in the last video, and I just, whatever. So it's, I was kind of like, that's beloved cinema. Okay, like, I have opinions on, like, classic cinema, okay? I don't like a lot of it. I had to watch some for a film class, and I didn't enjoy a lot of them. Casablanca, didn't like it that much. It's a Wonderful Life, it was okay. Not my favorite. Some Like It Hot, though. That's a funny movie. That's a good movie. But anyway, so I was like, why do people love this so much? And then I realized, like, as I started reading reviews and, like, doing research on it, it's not necessarily that the movies are perfect in every aspect or even the acting's good. It's just the nostalgia that came along with it, because so many people went to see those movies. So many people, like, just adored the Beatles and all that. So it's not so much that Paul McCartney can actually act. It's, oh, seeing them on the big screen and not just on TV or in concert once, you're never going to see again, because they didn't do a lot of touring in America. I just watched 8 Days a Week. Fantastic documentary. Feel like it dragged the last bit, though. Anyway, so I was going to make one more point, but I forgot what it was. I'll put it in the description if I remember. Okay, so that is all I have. I just want to talk about the Beatles movies. I did my makeup, and it's 10:52 at night, so you'll probably see this tomorrow. So I am done. I'm not sure what I want to do next. I do have some ideas on my phone, and we'll see what happens. I do want to do a video talking about how the monkeys did get screwed over with contracts and things like that, so that might be next. And yeah, then look out for that, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!